I don't know about you guys, but our dog just got more dog in her. The wolf man, the myth, the legend, the dog.
It was perfect.
That's where he's supposed to go!
This was absolute cinema.
If the world has the best dog, she's gonna be dog squared. From the Lord to the drone commander, if there's a new leader that you want to back, Lappland the Decadenza is the one you strive for. Bloodthirsty from a young age, she considers Salina Texas, or Texas for short, the only living heir of the rival famiglia Lappland was tasked to purchase a whole. Her partner in crime, her true rival, her frenemy, and basically the other half in 69,420 different lesbian sex materials, which, let's be real, we'll all enjoy. A lot.
We got him.
She defied her father's orders, giving him the biggest middle finger ever, and getting banished from her own famiglia, forever being labeled as a lone wolf.
Yes, sir.
But that doesn't really hurt her emotionally. In fact, that made her so happy. Spoiler alert! She decided to Uno reverse the whole thing and sent her dad to prison.
What the fuck happened?
And remind you, this guy was the Don.
I'm
The head of
really
the
rich.
massive family that was able to not only repel the attack from Texas Famiglia, but also send them 6 feet under. They dare touching our family, storming on our sacred grounds, and defying our authority? Well, how about we purge them, give them some concrete shoes, put a bullet in each of their puny little brains, cut the balls up and feed it to the dogs. And of course, that's not before we make them eat a whole full-course dinner from hibiscus. Hey, my food is good and healthy, bro. What do you mean? Mamma mia! Even I wouldn't wish that upon my greatest enemies. I'll make sure they'll pay for what they've done. Yeah, it's the Don speaking. Wait, she fucking did what? So you know how powerful he was, let alone his maniac daughter, who had 100 in persuasion to turn his whole family on him. This time, during the story event, I Potatori de Veluti, we are met with a whole new upgraded, well-suited, juiced up, and ready to bash some motherfucking skulls in Lappalter. Might also feel like tying some loose ends, cleaning up some rats, and collecting all debts along the way, like a true mafioso. I mean, who gives a fuck? She can step on me.
Smash.
This is the summary of Lappland. Unemployed. Yeah, Yosta really sold her character as an unemployed and tax evading. Maybe Executor has a new target on his list now. This is another short summary featuring Lappland the Decadenza, the Siracusan Lonewolf. Whoa. Whoa. Thank you. Aw, come on. Yes, you furry. Looking 20-year-old. Aw, yeah. What? Alright, I think I'm done for now. 18. Nope. Hey, yo! That was... I mean... Lappland the Unemployed. I shed a tear right now.
It's showtime. Among Us.
It didn't work!
Go!
I am alive!
One more time.
I'm trying to keep this short, so just bear with me. You already know who the OG Lappland is. So this is our outer version, named, again, Lappland the Decadenza. Sounds to me that she's finding back her roots as an Italian mafia. As a limited 6-star character, she's only available on her dedicated banner, We Mischievous Few, and possibly as an option in the Spark shop on future limited banners. Realistically, it's almost impossible unless you already have 300 pulls stocked up, or you're willing to pay for 5 crates of Originiums for 500 bucks, without tax by the way. Ultimately, this is the only chance you'll get her, so to speak, so think carefully. As a 6-star, Lappdawg has 3 different skills. Lappdawg, get it? Cause she's standing on the range tile now, so she's on top. I'm gonna end myself after this video. Before we dive into the intricacies of Lappdawg, let's also talk about what a Mech-Accord caster is, or as we would love to call them, drone casters. The only thing that they share with the rest of the caster class is their range, and the fact that they only attack one target at a time. Because why would they send out an army just to deal with a single Originium slug? Their advantage, however, comes from controlling drones that attack with them, and these little fellas also have lower attack in exchange for faster attack intervals. All Mech-Accord casters except Minimalist. Always this motherfucker. Literally the definition of the boss when you fight him versus the boss when he's playable. Okay, everyone except Minimalist have the ability to lock the drone onto an enemy with their skills, meaning the drones will continue attacking the target even after they left the caster's range. It is also worth noting that the drone can still attack even if its owner is disabled, for example being stunned or disarmed by certain enemies. Because of the synergy, it can also be assumed that any buff the user gets, the drone will also inherit certain aspects of it, such as attack or attack speed. That also means, however, the moment the buffs on the host expire, they will also be gone from the drones. So treat these babies as if they go hand to hand with one another, but still are sentient if their owner decides to turn their brains off for a second. So, many upsides and no downsides. Clearly, there is, to balance against the benefits from the drones, duh. Most of the skills from the drone casters benefit more towards the drones than themselves. Remember when I mentioned just a bit ago that drones inherit certain buffs from their owners? This is the reason. Skills can buff attack stat, attack speed, sometimes even increase the user's attack range. But ultimately, what you want to see is the drones grinding the enemies down, not the user doing that. Sorry mate, better outsource your work. Chances are, the skill you're using also mentions the phrase releases drone to attack enemies. That, more or less, means releasing all current drones you're having in order to maximize the damage output. Anyway, the point is, drones are what make drone casters special. If you're talking about core casters or AF Yala, for example, you are expecting her to do all the hard work, because she's the only one doing the damage and burning the whole entirety of Pompeii. However, if we're talking about Golden Glow, our lovable little Hello Kitty, don't feel bad if you see her doing subpar damage, because somewhere else on the map, her drones are doing the hard work. Now that the context is given, let's go back to the main topic. Lappdawg has 3 different— oh my fucking god again. Lappalter has 3 different skills, as any other 6 stars does. You wanna be special? Well, you fucking can. Deal with it. Oh, I'm sorry, Lappland. I love you so much. first skill, Idlers Shall Well, has a passive. You get an extra drone. Oh, this is a drone by the way. Kinda look like little fluffy killers of Siracusa, don't they? First skill lets you change between her normal state and the following one. Attack stat is increased, while also releasing all of her drones to randomly lock onto an idle enemy in the entire map to attack. Drones will only search for other enemies again when the current target moves or is defeated. In this case, an idle enemy really means an enemy target that stands still and is not currently moving. And there are many conditions for an enemy to be idle, whether they are already stationary from the start, does not move at the moment, is blocked by another operator, or they can be destructible structures as they also don't move. It's easy to retarget, however, by disabling the skill and activating it again. First skill is a decent AFK skill, since you just activate it and let her snipe enemies down from the comfort of the spot. But I'm guessing the overall damage will be significantly lower than the other two skills. Furthermore, because there are many conditions for the drones to pick a target, while it's also easy to just reset it the moment the enemy starts moving, the skill only works best when Lappalter is managing a relatively small area with enemies that are stationary most of the time. Maps with multiple pathways, maps that are too big, or maps with enemies on a constant move would be her biggest weaknesses. So, it's good for AFK operations, but not worth the focus. By the way, I can't really think of a reasonable excuse as to why her skill is like this other than being another way they tried to nerf a global skill. Global means skills that can access through the given stage layout, like Embryo's Radar Sweep, getting a slightly longer attack interval and a longer attack windup. Yeah! Second skill, Frenzy Hunting, gives you 3 extra drones when activated, expands the attack range, and increases the attack stat, while also releasing drones to randomly lock onto an enemy to attack, with a 10% chance to inflict fear on the target for 1 second. Remember the fear blast from Nymph? It works the same way. Enemy being pushed off their designated path while also moving away from the unit that inflicted the status onto them. For this skill, drones only search for new targets when the current one is defeated, and they return to the operator when the skill ends. Compared to the first skill, second skill has a noticeably higher damage output. Granted, you get 3 more drones and a considerable attack increase. However, it only gets so far, and the only true advantage of the skill is how fast you can rotate it. Sure, the range increase is also one thing, but for drone casters, that's like agreeing to help your classmate with his own work once you're done with yours, only for him to actually finish it first because you're busy trying to figure out what 1 + 1 is with half a brain cell and an orca, increasing the range for the user when they won't be clearing faster at all. And with the drones already chasing people down outside the range, it still goes back to show how the skills benefit more for the drones than the operators. Second skill only shines when the first skill or the third skill are unusable. For me, personally, I would even argue that the first skill has more use because it's an AFK button, so this is the least useful out of all 3. And finally, here comes the special part. Finale, Cataclysm, gives the user 2 extra drones and increase the attack stat by a decent amount. After releasing a unique drone, they scatter and chase down the nearest enemy in the entire map. When reaching the target, fear is inflicted for 3 seconds the first time, and drones lock onto the target to attack. Enemies around the drone have decreased movement speed and take 120% of attack as arch damage every second. This does not stack, by the way. When the locked target is defeated, the drones search for the enemies again and return to the operator when the skill ends. Her third skill is, in short, the bread and butter, and what makes Lappalter special. Here are some pointers to remember. By activating Finale, Cataclysm, you turn any current amount of drones Lappalter has into entities that exist separately from the operator herself for the duration of the skill, hinted by the phrase unique drone. A target marked by the wolves will have a red eye icon on top of them, so you know whose ass she's gonna grill next. The range of the skill is global, and when there are no other enemies appearing in the area, instead of despawning and coming back to the user, the wolves will linger around the area where the latest victim died just to piss on it, until another appropriate target appears. The third skill offers a lot of benefits. Not only do the drones work by themselves, they also have a 100% chance of inflicting fear whenever it starts attacking the target and others that follow, while reducing the movement speed and inflicting arts damage to the enemies surrounding them, ensuring that none of them get away in time and always become the next in line, even though the range is global anyway. So yeah, please walk slowly so the cubs can have something to feed on. The skill also, obviously, provides the most amount of damage, so if anything, you want to pick up that hole and start farming for it first. So, what's the problem? There is always a problem with these skills, just like how you always ask yourself, where are the bitches, because you cannot find one. I can't find any either. Look at this part, chases the nearest enemy. Do you think there's an issue with this statement? Exactly. This means the skill actively ignores the usual enemy target priority. So, why is this a problem? Simple. That makes it harder to designate the attack towards your desired target the more target appears in the map. Here's the second thing. When the locked target is defeated, the drones search for the enemies again. So what happens when you attack an enemy and they don't die yet? That's right. The wolves are stuck attacking the same target, possibly for the whole duration, if it's too tanky for them to kill in one swoop. Also, other eligible targets are no exceptions. Structures, attackable units, even this. I don't know what this is, I am not John ARKNIGHTS, but it shows how they can be attacked by a friendly unit. And you see how the wolves are stuck attacking it for a long while instead of the actual enemies creeping toward them. So this is something you want to be careful about, as you never know what kind of smoke them lupos are on and decide that a dummy target is the biggest threat. Additionally, stealth enemies are also an issue. What happens when you inflict fear onto a blocked enemy which has got its stealth status removed? It runs away from the operator who's blocking it and becomes stealthy again. And what happens when the wolves cannot attack it because it becomes invisible? They change the target. When your target has the ability to be invisible when not blocked, consider your options carefully. Or bring in someone who can get rid of the invisibility like Silverash or Ines, because you might accidentally waste your skill on some petty enemies instead. Oh yeah, Lappalter's drones will travel to the next enemy, instead of despawning and appearing next to them like golden glows, so you might lose some damage during the downtime. Talking about golden glow, there's this ongoing argument of whether or not Lappalter is finally gonna be the one who sends golden glow to the nursing home. There are some valid arguments on both sides as to why is a yes or no, and I want to give my personal opinion on how this should be broken down. Because you never know what's gonna happen if we cannot resolve this issue right away. And people tend to argue with each other a lot in this community through these questions. So it's better to just avoid it than actually giving a concrete answer. And what am I saying to prolong this paragraph in the background? Blah 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 blah. Just kidding, who gives a shit? You can play whoever you want. And you can make every operator work. People say it for a reason.
You stupid!
Plus, they do things differently anyway. For Lappalter, as explained before, you have drones that exist separately for the duration of a third skill, and it's still lesser attack, but the janky system of attacking the nearest enemy still gets you into a heap ton of problems. For Golden Glow, even though she cannot attack during her third skill, and the drones only slow down enemies instead of doing 69 for 20 different things, they don't become separate entities, and work a bit better without any conditions. Golden Glow's drone, unlike Lappalter's big puppies, despawn and spawn immediately to the next enemy, so it's a bit faster in dishing out damage. Golden Glow is also said to have a new module in store that helps her ignore the resistance of the enemy, giving her a slightly better edge over the Siracusan Wolf Guard. And get this, I don't want to scare you, but there's an option to play both of them. Did I scare your wallet? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You can combine their powers by deploying both of them and have a buffer like Scouter, pumping them with some good old stats in order to commit one of the greatest global air raid in every possible map. Ignore the guys that go, oh my god, GG is powercraft, get over it. You're not an OG if you don't play Golden Glow. Or, what if I don't like playing both? Be the superior one, play both. But seriously, you're an ARKNIGHTS player. If you can get this far into the game, you can make either work. So start focusing on yourself instead of others and make it work. This is not a motivational video, so cheers. With the skills mentioned and discussed, Are there any possible combos with Lappalter and other operators? Good question. I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy here. I have all the wrong answers for the right questions, but not even a single right answer for anything.
You're pretty useless, you know that?
One might think her second talent, Siracusan Pleasure, would help with certain strategies involve operators in the same faction. But it just doesn't do much in hindsight and in practice. Plus, there are realistically only a few whom you can build and pair with her to get the most benefit. Also, the fact that Texouter is not even one of them is just straight up ass. Lappland is the SP provider. Without the rest, you can still get the bonus, so don't bother unless you want to help other units, not Lappalter herself. My advice is to pair her with another drone caster and a buffer or debuffer, so you can rain Hailfire down on your enemies and clean things up more easily. Yeah, that's all I can say. Any more details and I would have to do math. And if you don't know already, I hate doing so let's leave it at that. Lastly, the million-dollar question we've all been waiting for. Should you get her? From a certain viewpoint, you may argue that she's just another Golden Glow, if not better. But scrap that idea, because she's worth the money. Having a drone caster that can attack globally while also inflicting extra damage, providing debuffs, and inflicting fear is not something you see every day. As I mentioned in the Nymph summary video, check it out by the way, link in the description. The only operators with the ability to inflict this status right now are Nymph and Lappalter, and both have major impacts on the gameplay. One plays well with the Necrosis elemental damage, the other one provides a versatile toolkit using drones and global range. That, in turn, means Lappalter is good value overall. Another thing I want to regurgitate, since I don't even know if you have watched the whole thing to this point, I know, because I wouldn't, is that you don't have to just use one drone casters, but you can use more than that. Depends on the space in your squad, of course. Like I mentioned before, having both of the best in line, Golden Glow and Laptop, ensures you can make the best out of what you have. Instead of a comparison, turn it into a collaboration. It is just that shrimple. Or whatever, you could just not do that and just purge everything the Siracusan way. The final point, which I can argue, is that building Lappalter becomes easier, providing that you already have OG Lappland in your roster. OG Lappland, despite being a 5-star lord, is not something to scoff at. As one of the early meta operators in this game, OG Lappland provides a fairly consistent arts damage output with her second skill, and her talent, Spiritual Destruction, silences a target's special ability when it gets hit with Lappland's attack. That means exploding slugs, for example, don't explode anymore the moment they get hit by a single attack from our precious Lupo over here. Ultimately, it's safe to assume that you have, at least to some degree, built her. That helps a lot in building her outer version, since both share the same trust. After all, you can always find an excuse to build your favorite operators, right? During the period this video comes out, we'd have already gone past Vina's banner, and we're going toward new operators such as Thorn's Outer, Blaze Outer, and Tachilia, and even Eblana's got announced. These new operators, however, may not be as influential as the Siracusan Outlaw. IS-5 is gonna be getting its new updates, and Lappalter is sitting at a very decent spot in the metagame. Despite not being the best of the best, she still had more values than your general. This operator is good. Even the general content also wants her for her versatility and the fact that she's a top tier drone caster. All of these explanations, speculations, and tons of yapping just to say that, yes, you should pull for Lappalter, care for her, and forfeit all mortal possessions to her. But yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I was when making it. And shout out while also expressing my personal gratitude to some of you viewers for giving me the motivation to make another video like this. I love making videos, and you guys have urged me to make another one. Let's hope in the future I'll be able to deliver more. Therefore, until then, stay safe out there, thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out!
The grip of fate, a tightening new